Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the media and the teams, my name is Tucker Thompson, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the official press conference of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series Portsmouth. Now, this event marks the 7th stage on a global tour in the build-up to the 35th America's Cup match presented by Louis Vuitton. At stake, the oldest trophy in international sports, sailing's most coveted prize. We begin with a look at how this event has evolved in the past 165 years.
Following her victory in England, where she won the cup that later became known as the America's Cup, she won.
Represented the very highest levels of excellence in our sport and continues to define the future of what's possible in sailing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the America's Cup. Now, it's fitting that we are back here on the Solent, where this silver trophy was first awarded and where the America's Cup all began 165 years ago. And as you all know, Portsmouth is home to Land Rover BAR, who won the first event here last year to kick off the World Series. Portsmouth is also the only location to host the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series event twice. There are 2 more on the schedule. Next, we go to Toulon, France in September, and then Fukuoka, Japan in November. And now here's a look at the highlights from the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series so far.
5 seconds to go to the start of the moment the America's Cup fans around the world are waiting for. The America's Cup racing is officially underway. Who'd have ever thought you'd have crowds like this in silver? Look at that, back in control and powering. Close to a collision on board. Average Team New Zealand comes in from what seems out of nowhere. There's the gun, all clear. This is going to be very tight. They're within inches, going 30 knots right now. Fantastic racing. We are set for race number 1 here at the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series Bermuda. Oh, this is close. My goodness. Oh, they've run into it. After a massive collision, they lead race number 2. Artemis Racing from Sweden with damage takes the race. Fantastic fashion. What a race and what a start. Wow, look at that. New York City.
All right, so now let's meet the sailors. First, representing Groupama Team France, please welcome a multiple world champion, record holder, and Volvo Ocean Race winner, and former America's Cup winning coach, the skipper of Groupama Team France, Frank Camas. And next, representing SoftBank Team Japan, please welcome a two-time Louis Vuitton Cup winner and former America's Cup winner, the CEO and skipper of SoftBank Team Japan, Dean Barker. And now representing Artemis Racing from Sweden, the team that won the most recent event. Please welcome a three-time Olympian, a former world champion, and America's Cup sailor, the helmsman this week for Artemis Racing, Francesco Bruni. Next, representing Emirates Team New Zealand, who's currently leading the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series. Please welcome a 16-time world champion and former America's Cup winning coach, currently helmsman for this event, the skipper of Emirates Team New Zealand, Glenn Ashby. Next, representing the defender of the 35th America's Cup, please welcome the youngest helmsman to have ever won the Cup and the man at the helm of Oracle Team USA's dramatic comeback in 2013, the skipper and helmsman of Oracle Team USA, Jimmy Spithill. And finally, representing Great Britain and based right here in Portsmouth, please welcome the most decorated Olympic sailor of all time and former winner of the America's Cup, the team principal, skipper, and helmsman of Land Rover BAR, Sir Ben Ainsley. Okay, so first we'll roll through a few questions here on stage and then we'll open it up to you all in the audience. We'll begin with Frank Camas. And Frank, I understand that you guys just launched your brand new AC-45S test boat in France. First of all, congratulations. Now, while your team hasn't scored that high in the series so far, but fast designs have always been a major factor in your sailing successes. So is it fair to assume that your team has some design features up your sleeve that might surprise us all when we get to Bermuda next year?
Yes, I hope it's already a very good first step for us to launch the boat 1 year after the launching of the team, because we are a late entry and the design team and the building team did a very good job. For the surprise, I don't know. We follow our process and our development, but if we can do some surprise, but good surprise, the goal is to be fast, not to be surprising.
Okay, well, we're yet to see. Thank you, Frank. And moving over to Dean. Now, Dean, is it fair to say SoftBank Team Japan has really found its stride in this series? You won the practice race in New York. You won every single practice race in Chicago. You won 2 races in the competition to take 3rd overall. Should all of these other teams on the stage now take notice, particularly Oracle Team USA, that you guys are on par and looking at winning the America's Cup?
Thanks, Tucker. It's very early days. You know, it's this event here in Portsmouth sort of marks 1 year that the team's been in operation. So you know, we've been very focused on just trying to develop as a group. You know, assemble a team, get set up in Bermuda. You know, do some great sailing with Artemis and Oracle in Bermuda, and really focusing on next year. So you know, the World Series for us is a fantastic opportunity to measure progress. You know, we're obviously very happy with the way that the team has been developing, but you know, still a long way to go. And you know, we made mistakes in Chicago. And I'm sure, like all teams, we're looking to try and keep improving and put a good result together here.
Well, Dean, I'm sure you'd agree the performance curve is going in the right direction. So good luck to you and your team this weekend. And now we move to Francesco Bruni, Artemis Racing, and we understand that you're driving this weekend in for helmsman Nathan Outridge, who's preparing for the Olympic Games. Are there any challenges for you getting up to speed as a helmsman at this event?
Oh, plenty. I'm very excited to be here. Taking Nathan's spot is not going to be easy, but Nathan is busy with the Olympic Games, and I'm very excited to have this chance. I'm actually hoping that the Olympic Committee choose to have Olympic Games every month from here from now to the Cup, and have a chance to steer more. Yeah, so interesting times.
All right, thank you, Francesco. And moving over to Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, you guys have managed to be on the podium in every single event except the last one, and you've averaged second overall in the series. We all know how much you hate to lose personally. How badly do you want to finally put a win on the scoreboard, and what have you and your team identified as the factors to do differently to post a win here in Portsmouth?
Well, I think we'd all love to win up here. There's no two ways about that. You know, to win this World Series, it really is about consistency. And you highlight a great point. You know, for the first time, both Team New Zealand and ourselves finished off the podium in Chicago, and you know, the results do the talking. We finished exactly where we deserved to finish. We've obviously gone back, worked pretty hard, learned a lot from that performance, and we're really looking forward to getting back out there and bouncing back. But it just says a lot about the fleet now. You know, you make mistakes, you get punished, and it was a great series, and we're looking forward to another one here in Portsmouth. I think the crowds will be even bigger this year.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. And now to Glenn Ashbury, Emirates Team New Zealand. You're currently driving the boat this week at the helm while Peter Burling is at the Olympics. Do you feel any added pressure to fill Burling's shoes as a helmsman and try and maintain Emirates Team New Zealand's lead in this star-studded fleet?
No.
Can you expand on that?
Oh, look, you know, it's a wonderful opportunity, I think, for both Francesco and myself. You know, both you know, Peter Blair and Nathan Goobs are just about to embark on a you know, a hugely you know, massive task at the Olympic Games. So really, for those guys, you know, the battle very much is going to continue on the water for them. And you know, all the guys sitting here beside me have done a huge amount of yachting over the last few years, and I think, as Jimmy's just said, you know, the competition is very fierce. But you know, for me, unfortunately, disappointing a lot of my mates around the world stepping down to the helmsman position.
All right, thank you, Glenn. And finally, the man of the hour, Sir Ben Ainsley. Well, Ben, congratulations are obviously in order to you and your wife Georgie on your new baby. Everybody well? Sleeping okay?
Yeah, very good, thanks, Tucker. It was a huge moment for us. First baby this last weekend, so yeah, we're absolutely delighted with that. Managed to get Georgie and the baby home last night, and so they're well looked after.
Oh, please give him a huge round of applause, folks, the new daddy. And then your new daughter's name.
Yeah, she's called Bellatrix, which is something to do with being goddess of war. So hopefully she'll be behind the team when we're in Bermuda next year.
I'm sure she will. So now back to the business of racing. You know, we kicked off the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series here last year in Portsmouth, in your hometown. And you guys came out and won the event, which was clearly impressive. And now we're back for the second time, and you sit second overall, tied with the man to your left, Jimmy Spithill, and Oracle Team USA. You're also within striking distance of the lead overall. No pressure there, Glenn. Emirates Team New Zealand. How important would a win be for you in front of the hometown crowd in Portsmouth and for your country, Great Britain, this weekend?
Well, last year was massive for us as a brand new team and organisation to come out and be able to win this first event as a new team and the first event in this World Series in front of the home crowd. And you know, we would absolutely love to repeat that again this year. And it's the last time we get to race in the UK before the Cup next year in Bermuda. So the guys are really fired up to try and put on a good show. I think it's you know, we've got the weather forecast, we've got all the great teams here. Should be some fantastic racing.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Good luck this weekend. Back to you, Frank. Now, in Oman, you guys won your first race. You repeated that in New York, and you ended up on the podium in New York, finishing third. So, what can we expect from Groupama Team France this weekend here in Portsmouth?
Actually, we were for sure upset with the result in Chicago, but it's always a good opportunity with Vuitton World Series to improve our skill and to race against this guy. And we will see here. I think, as you say, the forecast will be very good, and we will do the 6 races with a good win, and we changed a little bit our crew with Adam coming at the sheet training, and we will see. It's a good new organization, new language on board also, but it's good to test.
All right, bonne chance, my friend. I'm
Merci.
sure you'll impress us. Back to Dean. Dean, the final event of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series scheduled this year is in Fukuoka, Japan. I'm sure that's very big for your team. What can we expect in Japan, and how important is this event for SoftBank Team Japan?
Well, we're very excited to have an event in Japan. I haven't been to Fukuoka yet, but you know, from everything that Fuku's been saying, it's going to be a great place to go and race, to try and showcase our team in Japan, and have America's Cup racing in Asia for the first time. So, you know, a huge thank you to obviously to SoftBank and the organisation there to be able to sort of pull it together. It's something that we're very proud of, and something very much looking forward to.
All right, well, thank you, Dean. We're all looking forward to it as well, and I'm sure that Japan will put on quite a good show. Francesco, now, it's a lot easier to be sitting critiquing the team rather than being on it, of course, when you look at some of the results. You guys have had 2 wins, tied with Emirates Team New Zealand and Land Rover BAR, also on 2 wins for the series so far. But to be fair, you guys have been relatively inconsistent overall in the series, either averaging first or last. Why the inconsistency, and what made the difference for you guys in Bermuda and at the last event in Chicago with the wins?
Well, we had a lot of crew rotations, like in other teams, and I think we finally found a good formula that worked really well in Chicago. But our goal here is to get into the podium, and I know that I have a great team behind me, and they are going to help me as much as they can to fill up the spot for Nathan. So I think we are in good shape.
Okay, all right, thank you, Francesco. Jimmy, back to you. You guys, as you well know, are tied for 2nd overall with Land Rover BAR and Ben Ainsley, and very close to Emirates Team New Zealand. This weekend could turn the scoreboard around, certainly with a win here in Portsmouth. How much would that boost you and your team, and how much would you love to beat Sir Ben Ainsley, your former teammate, here in his hometown in Portsmouth?
Oh, it'd be great. Look, we'd love to get a good result here. It's, you know, Ben will obviously have the hometown support here. Be a lot of energy to draw from that. But, you know, in some ways that's quite motivating for us as well. So, yeah, look, the guys are all fired up. We think it's setting up for a pretty nice weekend of racing, and we'll just have to get out there and let the best team win.
All right, thank you, Jimmy, and good luck. Glenn, over to you. You know, there's obviously no question that you guys have been dominant in the entire Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series so far, currently leading it. But the last event in Chicago was your team's worst performance overall. First time you weren't on the podium, ending up 4th place. Is that a sign that your advantage in this fleet is wearing off and that the other teams might possibly be catching up?
Look, the racing in Chicago was fantastic. You know, we had a great regatta there. You know, it's one of those ones that you go out there and you give it your best every time. And you know, to go into that regatta, you know, with an 8-point lead and come out of the regatta with an 8-point lead, you can sort of argue either way that you've had a good one or a bad one. But obviously, this regatta for us here is a totally different kettle of fish. We've got 2 new crew members on board for this regatta, Sam Bell on the bow, and also Richard Meacham joining us. So for myself, you haven't really spent a lot of time on the wood for a long time. So it's going to be a really interesting event for us. We're going to make sure we have a lot of fun, and hopefully you know, we can put a few races together to give these guys a bit of a hurry up.
All right, well, as your mate Jimmy said to you, you're right. The results will certainly speak for themselves. Good luck to you and your team this weekend. And finally, Ben, Sir Ben, do you know how many British challengers there have been for the America's Cup?
Catch me out on my America's Cup history. Quite a few.
Quite a few. So, okay, well, we'll move on to the point is, it's fair to say that you guys have some unfinished business to do on behalf of Great Britain. I know you've stated that, and your team's objective, of course, is to do what no other British challenger has been able to do in 165 years, and that is to beat the American defenders and finally bring the cup back home to England. I know you've said it before, but why is this time different for this team?
Well, I think that all of these guys who've been involved with the America's Cup, you know how complex the competition is, you know, from a sailing perspective, from a design and engineering perspective, and you know, to be successful, you have to get all of those different components together at the same time. And as you mentioned, we've had many British challenges over the years. I think probably most famously Sir Thomas Lipton back in the early 20th century, but never quite got there. And you know, this time we've tried to approach it differently with a lot of experience from different campaigns. You know, some successful, some not successful, but I think you learn from all of those. And you know, we've got a fantastic group of investors, of backers, and amazing commercial partners. We've got a great sailing team, design team, and we're really working incredibly hard. Doesn't mean ultimately we will be successful, but you know, guarantee if we're not successful this time, we're going to keep going until we do eventually get that cup back home. That's what it's about for us, and that's what motivates everyone here in the organisation to come in and keep pushing so hard.
Okay, well thank you, Sir Ben. Notice has definitely been served. And now we'll open it up to you all, the members of the media and the audience. There's a roving microphone. If you'll raise your hand and state your name and the publication that you're from, and we can get your questions. Yes, sir.
Hi, Blue Robinson from Seahorse Magazine. Question for Jimmy. Following Chicago, I'm sure you and the team were not satisfied with the outcome there, and you're standing now in the race standings. Specifically, what have you done since Chicago to address this?
Well, we've spent a lot of time with our coach, Philippe Presti, who you know, I've been fortunate enough to be working with for quite a long time now. But we really went back. The beauty of the racing today is you have a lot of the TV footage of not only yourself, but of the other teams. And that's something, you know, that's been quite tough in the sport of sailing to get. But it's great now. When you look at the technology, we can really go in depth, we can break it down, and we can see if teams are doing different styles, different techniques, have somewhat different playbooks for manoeuvres, strategy, and even better, we can hear what they're saying. And that's the same for us too, because obviously we're all mic'd. Having said that, Ben does have a little bit of profanity coming off his boat, a little bit more than others, but no, look, we can go there and really learn, and that's what we've done. We've really looked at the teams that did well and said, look, what are they doing differently, if anything, and then looked at ourselves pretty candidly and said, well, look, what can we do better and how do we improve? And so I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Having said that, you've got to get out there, and that's racing and that's competition. But yeah, we've worked pretty hard since Chicago to try and learn what we can.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hi, Alistair Eakin from ACTV. This is a question for Sir Ben. Can you tell us, Ben, exactly what home advantage means here to you in practical terms? How does it affect things in a tangible way? Is it because you know the waters very well? Is it the wind patterns? How will it help you?
I think there are, you know, two key elements. One is, as you were saying, on the water. Although actually the racecourse we have here in Portsmouth, half of it is on the shipping channel, so as a home team we can't actually access that racecourse on a daily basis, otherwise the Queen's Harbour Master would be shutting us down pretty quickly, I think. Probably the bigger factor, I think, is just the home crowd, home support. We race so close to the shoreline here now that you can hear those people cheering you on, and when you're at home and they know that mostly they're cheering you on, cheering your team on, that really motivates the guys to work that much harder, and you know, that's why it is so special for us to be racing at home.
Okay, and next. Matt over here.
Hi, Matt Sheehan from the World Sailing Show. Question for Ben. Ben, obviously there's a lot of pressure and focus on you in your home area and the rest of it, but I just wondered what this event means, because the Cup itself is looming next year. It's getting quite close now. What does this event mean? How important is it in the road to Bermuda next year?
I think for all of the teams, we're now sort of getting to the business end of this World Series, and the points, you know, for those top two teams, you do carry some points forwards to the next stage of qualifying, and so that is reasonably important. Although when we get to Bermuda, we'll be taking our own boats, our own designs, and the game starts again in match racing as opposed to the fleet racing that we're doing here. So I think that's the importance for all of the teams with the World Series. For us, again, as a home team, it was really important to do well in the first event to sort of establish ourselves as a new organisation, and again, to do well on our home waters is really important for us.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Next question. Over here.
Andy Rice with a question for Glenn
sorry.
Ashby. Sorry, yeah, for me. Is that all right? Hi, Glenn. The lessons to be learned from events like this, is there anything technical that you can learn, or is it more about the team building?
Yeah, certainly for us, Andy, it's very much about the team building. To be here with a completely new crew makeup effectively is a great challenge, but it also gives the other sailing team members in our team an opportunity to get out on the water and enjoy some racing. So basically 4 out of the 5 guys on board will be out of position, and 2 of those guys will be new to this circuit. So it's going to be an interesting week, but certainly for us there's going to be a huge amount of takeaways from this. And I think just exposing the other guys to the type of sailing that we're doing going forwards will no doubt make us stronger as a team over the next few months.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. Over here, yeah.
Hi, Alex Smith from Reuters. This is a question for all of you. The Cup's always been plagued by uncertainty. Can we have a show of hands from the stage, as 6 of you up there, who would support a framework agreement which would put some rules around what the Cup would look like from here on in? So that's, is that 5 out of 6 or a 4 out of 6? 4 out of 6, I reckon, but leave those at the back to be the arbiters. Thank you. Perhaps maybe Ben or Jimmy can talk a bit about why it's important.
Well, I can start. I mean, traditionally the America's Cup has been sort of plagued by inconsistency. You have a fantastic event like the one we had in 2013, which really captures people's imagination, and then there's a break for 18 months, 2 years to reorganise the next event. And what I think all of us as sailors want, and we can see commercially the viability of having that consistency. So whether it's a biannual event, and you can commit to a class of boat or World Series, and really then get that continuity and grow out TV networks, commercial partners, and all of the teams. So that's what we're striving towards, we're working towards as a group of teams, and hopefully we'll get there.
Completely agree. I mean, what we want is regular season, like a lot of other sports have. The great thing about this event is it has, well, it's got the longest history. There is no other sport that's been going for this long, or this sort of trophy. With that comes somewhat of a little bit of baggage, with this bigger gift and that, but the point is we have a great opportunity here to try and lock this in, and not only will it obviously benefit the guys sitting up here right now, but more importantly, it's going to benefit the next generation, of the kids out there and the athletes that are coming from the Rebel Youth America's Cup. So that, I think, really motivates us. And we're doing everything we can. I mean, in the past, I think it used to be kind of lawyers and rules advisors that used to sit in these meetings, and now we're getting the skippers in the meetings, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to go out there and put themselves on the line representing the athletes. So, yeah, I think we're taking some good steps, and hopefully we can be in a position to announce something for the future.
Andy.
Andy Green from America's Cup Events. Very unusual to hear Jimmy and Ben both agreeing wholeheartedly with each other. So I've got a question for Jimmy. There's always been subterfuge and intrigue in the America's Cup. Now you're here in Portsmouth, Ben's home. Have you had anyone checking out his new technology or following the boats around on the racecourse recently?
We've got people here full time, yeah, and so does he. I mean, effectively, any time we sail in Bermuda, we're followed. Dean sails, Artemis, and vice versa with Ben. I mean, this is the level the game's at. There are specific rules about how you can, I guess, monitor another team and what you can do. but it is part of the game. I mean, we live in a world where you can learn a lot by looking outside of what you're doing and learn from someone else. And that's not, you see that not just in sport, but you see that in industry as well.
And you might just want to discuss those special shots you got the other week.
The wing hitting the shed?
Or, no, the other shot.
The rudder toe.
There you go. Well, great. Thanks very much. And Glenn Ashby, to you. Last cycle of the America's Cup, there was a general feeling that perhaps you were first to foil, and you perhaps showed your hand a little earlier than you might have done. Have you got some secrets that you're not showing off this time?
Well, that photo was photoshopped, Andy, so can't freak it out. No, look, I mean, it's the fact that we haven't been on the water yet, it's been pretty good to keep everything a bit of a secret, I guess. So, yeah, maybe we do that for another few months, I don't know. But look, at the end of the day, it's very much a technology race, and I think largely with these boats, it's what you can't see is actually the key to this. Probably next couple of the boats. Well, in fact, all the boats will look very, very similar, apart from the graphics and the paint jobs. But it's really what's under the bonnet that's the big difference. A lot like in motorsport. So the testing, the development, and the hours and hours and hours that go, on the water testing, as well as what happens in the design office with the designers and the engineers. That's really the key to being successful at the actual America's Cup itself. So a lot of work to do for us, but a lot of work to do for all these guys. So it'll be an interesting one next year.
All right, Alec.
Alec Wilkinson, ACTV. Glenn, you seem to be in disagreement with Ben and Jimmy on the future framework of the America's Cup. Why is that? What are your ideas?
Yeah, look, I guess the America's Cup, the deed of gift is a very long-standing deed, and we find it hard to be able to lock into something that it largely has been, an open competition for a very, very long time. So whilst I love sailing multi-hulls and I love looking after the future direction of our sport, it's very, very hard to lock into something that's been long-standing for a very, very long time. So that's the position we're at the moment.
Very, very intriguing. Do we have another? Yeah? Okay. Well, now we're going to ask all of these 6 skippers to stand next to the trophy for a photo moment. If you guys want to make your way forward, we'll pause for plenty of time for the official photo.